We're here at the chipping green, and the chip shot that we're going to practice is a very long chip shot up the green. It's a very steep bank with a lot of break right to left. There's many ways to play this shot. I'm going to tell you 3 ways to play it. There's no right or wrong way to play this shot. It's just what you prefer and what you feel comfortable with. I'm going to start off by using my 58-degree wedge and playing a mid to high flighted lob shot to take out all of the break in the green and land it up on top and hopefully get it to stop. So the first way I'm going to show you how to play this shot is with my 58-degree wedge. But before I do that, I'm just going to talk to you about a couple of basics that I use throughout all of my chipping. Doesn't matter what club I'm using. My stance is always a little bit narrower and a little bit open, pointing to the left. That way, with chipping, it's just more about an arm swing rather than having the weight transfer of a full golf swing. So feet closer together. I grip down on the club a little bit from where I would when I'm hitting a full shot, and I do that for just a little bit of control. And then the next thing, for just about every chip shot except for one of those really cute flop shots, I always want to make sure that the handle of the club is ahead of the head of the club at impact. So when I make impact with the ball, I want my hands to be ahead of the club. I don't want the club to be ahead of my hands. So that's the 3 basic principles that I make sure that I'm doing throughout all of my chipping. So with this shot, just to add, we want it to fly a little bit higher and come down a little soft, because we're going to take out most of the break and most of the upslope on this shot. So what I do is basics with the stance close together. The only difference is I'm going to open the club face just slightly, just to get that little bit more height, but everything else will remain the same. So just one practice swing. And with this chip shot, the takeaway, there's going to be a little bit of early wrist hinge rather than in your golf swing, the wrist hinge starts a little bit further away from the ball. So there's a little bit more wrist hinge. The club face is probably going outside the line and cutting across the ball a little bit, which helps it get in the air and land softer. The next shot I'm going to show you is with my 52-degree wedge. This shot's going to be quite a bit lower than the one I hit with the 58. It's probably going to land halfway to the hole, and obviously because of that we're going to have to allow for a little bit more break because that's going to come into play a little bit more. So to perform that shot, it's the same basic principles, you know, with my feet together and gripping down on the club. This one, my club face isn't going to be open at all, it's just going to be square, and I'm probably going to play it just a little bit further back in my stance. You could probably tell the difference between the 58 and the 52 is that there wasn't as much wrist hinge as with the 58. It's a little bit more neutral. The path of my chip shot wasn't as far outside. We weren't cutting across as much as that because we want it to be lower. We want it to roll out. We don't want it to stop. We want it to take the break and roll up to the pin. The last shot I'm going to show you is with my 8-iron. Now, not many people learn to chip these days with anything but their wedges, but it sometimes can be very handy to be able to learn to hit shots with all your clubs, but 7-iron, 8-iron, 9-iron, pitching wedge, because I think sometimes for amateurs it's the most consistent way of chipping if you've got lots of green to work with, because your contact's probably going to be more consistent more often. So with this shot, you're going to have to read it like a putt, so we're going to have to take in just about all of the break on this shot, but it's not much different to a putting stroke. You've got very little wrist hinge, low to low, and it's going to come up very low and it's going to roll like a putt. It's probably the safest shot to play. It probably wouldn't be the shot that I'd choose on this occasion, but I think for amateurs, for you, this would be the safest shot to play and probably the most consistent.